You're listening to Let's Talk Fantasy Football, where men of fantasy genius have realized, hey guys, we don't need real football skills to dominate on the fantasy field. Yeah. So slap on your pads and grab your helmet. Shit's about to get real.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Let's Talk Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Nick Schreck, and that is it, guys. It is Nick and Nick alone today. Consider it our happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year podcast, all wrapped into one. We know the podcast has been off the air for, the past week or so, and we're sorry, but we've been wrapped with the holidays and everything else going on. We've been answering questions via email, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we've been there. But you've missed out on some podcast fun, and we're sorry about that. But we're back with one last episode before we hit the NFL playoffs. And we'll be talking more DFS and all those fun things. So today, guys, really what I'm here to say is I hope you guys won your championships last week. I hope you're not playing in Week 17 for a championship. If you are, stop. I mean, right now it's too late for this year. Finish it out, win it in Week 17. You're going to hear why in a second, why we and most fantasy analysts tell you don't play in Week 17 for a championship. But, if you guys are playing, we wish you the best of luck. Send in your questions. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, we're there. We know we can't always get to every question, guys, so for those of you that don't always get a response, we're sorry. We're hustling through as many questions as we can, but we can never bat 1,000 getting all the answers out before game time. So keep on firing them in. We'll do our best. But, guys, before we jump into the podcast, I want to give a shout-out to BenchBoss. They're still the revolutionary app that allows you to play fantasy football live while watching the game on TV. Predict the plays, the results of the play, and literally play fantasy football. You can sign up for the beta now by going to letstalkfantasyfootball.com/benchboss. And guys, while you're there, check out the site, letstalkfantasyfootball.com. We've rolled out a new homepage design, playing with some tweaks and layouts, and we've got some exciting things coming for you in 2018. That's as big of a sneak preview as we're going to share now. But really, guys, today's show, we're going to talk about some of the big news headlines going into Week 17 if you guys are actually playing for a championship. Or if you're just playing DFS or you're playing in other leagues where it's fun, but if you're playing in a big money league, hope it's not Week 17. And then in the second half of the show, I'm going to talk a little bit about DFS guys I like this week, maybe one or two people I'm going to fade, look away from. And then I'm also going to build a lineup live with you guys from our buddies over at FantasyAdvantage.com. We had them on the podcast a few weeks ago. Did an interview, ton of fun. They're big on the analytics, guys, and we'll build a DraftKings lineup and a FanDuel lineup. We'll see what they kick out, and we'll enter the lineups on our end this week, and hopefully we go out there and win, and hopefully can give you guys a little bit of insight. But guys, let's talk about the news, the big hits, the things here. Guys, you go into Week 17, whether you're playing just DFS, playing for a championship, you're in a consolation bracket. Fantasy football still going. We're pumped it is. We just hope you don't have a lot on the line as we go into Week 17. A lot of starters get rested as we go into the playoffs. But here's a couple big things we're watching. Titans running back DeMarco Murray, guys, is out this week. Derrick Henry's going to get the start. Very interesting play, depending on where you want to use him, maybe in DFS or depending on your options in season long. There's some other big names that we don't expect to play or have a big role. That includes running back Todd Gurley. He's not going to play against the Niners this week. If you were rolling Jared Goff out there, my man, for the Rams, he's not going to play either. And a guy who I didn't expect to have the season that he did, I'm excited to see that he has. Unfortunately for you in fantasy, guys, he's not going to be out there this week. Take a look over at the Chiefs as well. Alex Smith and Tyreek Hill will not play this week. I would expect that you don't see a ton of Kareem Hunt or Travis Kelce this week. You do get Patrick Mahomes out there for you Chiefs fans and myself. We get to see him in action a little bit, and I think it creates a very interesting situation as we go into 2018. What happens with the Chiefs with the QB situation? Is it Smith? Is it Mahomes? I think a lot of that's predicated on how they do here in the playoffs. Are they one and done, which would be a typical Chiefs thing to do, or do they win and move on? And I think that's going to play a big role. But I'm getting ahead of myself and starting to obviously lean Chiefs bias. So let's say on the football and fantasy football side of things, Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins is out for the week, guys. Will Fuller should assume a bigger role. Again, if that's where you want to go and roll a dice. Packers wide receivers Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams are also both out this week. So again, guys, you're seeing a trend here. Lots of big names, and even names that aren't quote unquote big names, but names you would normally have in your lineups. They're not active. They're not playing. Giants wide receiver Sterling Shepard and tight end Evan Ingram are out this week. Emmanuel Sanders is out for the Broncos, as is Cody Latimer. Eagles starters are not expected to play the whole game. They really don't have a ton to. There's no reason for them. There's no reason to get anybody else really hurt here as they go into the playoffs. They've clinched their spot. They don't have a ton to gain. And then Steelers, QB Ben Roethlisberger and running back Le'Veon Bell are also not expected to play this week, guys. Two big names you really need to think about. They're out. That hurts you. Really the only team that has not the only team, but one of the big teams that actually has a ton to play with or a ton to play for is the New England Patriots. And if you were heavily invested in them, you've had good weeks, you've had bad weeks. But they still have a lot to play for this week. And I actually think there's a lot of value to come for there. They're still playing for the number one seed in the AFC. So good things if you own the Patriots and for people that are healthy / guys you need. But otherwise, guys, a lot of names, a lot of people that are out. Can also create a lot of opportunity in DFS as you're going for cheaper price guys. So I think just feel it out, see what's going to work best in your lineups. Again, I'll touch on DFS briefly. We're going to build a lineup with Fantasy Advantage. But that's kind of some of the bigger news pieces, guys. We've got a couple others here from Motor World. If you're a Melvin Gordon owner, good news. Adam Schefter reports that he will play Sunday night against the Raiders. Again, keep an eye on that, but they expect him to go. Some coaching thing, guys. Gary Kubiak, the Broncos are in talks to rehire him as a front office executive. Obviously was the coach, resigned, and now they want to bring him back. Rumors swirling, guys, about John Gruden coming back to the sidelines. We love him in the booth. He's a fan favorite. But supposedly the Raiders are going to make a big push for him, possibly include some ownership pieces in a deal to kind of get him to come back to the sidelines. So that's coming from ESPN's Adam Schefter. So we're going to see what happens. I mean, it could lead to Reggie McKenzie getting fired. I spoke with Walsh, before the podcast, and he kind of alluded to the fact that he doesn't think it's going to happen. But I think the partial ownership piece is huge. It kind of puts him in the owner's ear, obviously being an owner, and then, he can literally just phone up Davis anytime and just kind of talk shop and then kind of being in control. So I think it's a unique perspective. They're going to Las Vegas. It would not shock me to see this happen. Again, I don't follow the Raiders that closely, particularly being a Chiefs fan, but I do think there's a chance that this can happen. He says he doesn't want to comment on it until after, week 17 games end. So, that he didn't come out and deny it either. So definitely something going. He's obviously taken phone calls in the past. So we will see what happens there. And trying to think what else we got coaching-wise. And there was a bunch of stuff that came out. We expect a bunch of guys to be let go. Obviously, bad things to come on Monday for NFL coaches, but that means new hirings. And that's really kind of all upside from there, guys. But let's take, I know it's a super short episode, but we're going to take a quick break. We're going to let you guys hear from BenchBoss. We're going to come back, build a DFS lineup, talk about some guys I like, some guys I'm going to fade, and then we'll wrap it up. Give you guys your quick hits as we go into Sunday, and hopefully you can win some money.
This year, dominate your friends with free play-by-play fantasy football from BenchBoss. BenchBoss is the first play-by-play fantasy football game where you must think like the players and coaches on the field as you predict the outcome of every play. Earn rewards as you compete against friends and fans across the country. BenchBoss is currently recruiting beta testers, and we need you. Visit benchboss.tv to learn more and sign up today.
All right, guys, that was BenchBoss. We hope you guys are signing up at letstalkfantasyfootball.com/BenchBoss. Get in for the beta. Obviously, we're going into playoff time here, but they're always adding people, testing it out. 2018 is going to be huge. Software is seamless, guys. It's so cool. You feel like you're actually calling plays. We've alluded to it in the past, but it's like Tony Romo predicting plays on TV when you guys are watching him, in the comments, being a commentator. And it's cool. Get rewarded, shoot up the leaderboards. It's been a lot of fun. 2018 is going to be huge, but you can still get on the list now. So we encourage you to do that. Sign up as soon as you can and get in there before the new year officially rings in. we've got some football games to go before that happens, at least here on the East Coast in the United States. But with that, guys, let's talk some DFS. And I think the first thing I want to do is I'm going to build the lineup, guys, with you right from fantasyadvantage.com. I literally just hit start drafting. So if you go to the website, I hit NFL. We're going to build a FanDuel lineup together really quick, and then we're going to do a DraftKings lineup as well. So this week, guys, they're talking about 3 guys at QB. Their bargain QBs, Cam Newton. Solid is Tom Brady. And then their stud of the week is Russell Wilson. I'm personally going to play Tom Brady here. As you know, they pick him as solid. I think he's a stud, and I think it's because they're playing for that number 1 spot. They're playing the Jets, and they need it. So I'm gonna pay up for him and spend $8,500 on Tom Brady. They're gonna bring him over to the running game. They said their solid pick for the week, Mark Ingram. Bargain pick is LaShawn McCoy, and stud is Alvin Kamara. Kamara's been on fire, as has Ingram. I'm going to roll with the stud pick here and take Alvin Kamara. Obviously, I'm spending big bucks. He's $8,800 here on FanDuel. So I'm going to have to start downgrading someplace. I'm not sure where that's going to come in yet. It might be here. Running back Devontae Freeman now is their next bargain pick. Shady McCoy at solid. Ingram as the stud. Not going with the double Saints. Obviously, I'm going to probably move away from Shady here just based on price tag. We're going to put Freeman in there, $6,900 as we move into our wide receivers. Julio Jones is the stud. I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter this week, about targets and regressing back, or we have to see something good from Julio. But I'm going to go with a bargain pick here and take Adam Thielen, $7,400. They're playing Chicago. He's going to be my pick. He burned me last week. I was wrong and played him over Diggs. It cost me some lineup wins, but I'm hoping for a bounce back here with Thielen. Now we're back. Stud, Michael Thomas, bargain, Jarvis Landry, and solid, Marvin Jones. I'm going to roll Jarvis Landry here. It's just volume for him. He gets fed. My third wide receiver here for FanDuel, I got $21,200 left in my budget, guys. Josh Doxson at my bargain. T.Y. Hilton is a solid, and Demaryius Thomas as my stud. I'm going to roll DT, as I talked about before in the intro, guys. We're missing Emmanuel Sanders, so I think DT maybe sees a little bit of an uptick. I know the Broncos offense is a bit of a mess, yada, yada, yada. I just think it's volume. Doxson's been really good, but playing the Giants, we're going to go with Demaryius Thomas here against Kansas City. Again, they're kind of playing with their lineup a little bit. I'm saying like I'm part of the Chiefs. We're in the playoffs, so I think they're not going to risk hopefully the injury to anybody there. We're coming out the tight end, stud Antonio Gates. Charles Clay's a solid pick, and then the bargain pick is Eric Ebron. For any of you that have been listening to the podcast, you know where I stand on Eric Ebron. It's been nothing but a roller coaster ride for me, and I've been wrong every step of the way. But I'm going to get him here, $5,600. He's my bargain pick at tight end. Now I go into kicker and defense. My kicker options, guys, Josh Lambo's the bargain. Robbie Gould's the stud. Graham Gano is solid. They're all within about a point of each other for what they're going to put in. They all cost $4,800. So if they're telling me Robbie Gould's the stud, let's trust the data and analytics. We're going to roll with him. And then that leaves me $4,000 left as my budget, guys, for my defense of the week. Tampa Bay Bucks is my bargain. San Francisco 49ers is solid. And my stud defense is the Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles. I feel like I could definitely get burned here, but I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys against Philly. Hoping Philly doesn't roll out their guys, there's no need. There's no need for them to get injuries. So we're going to draft them there. That's going to put my full lineup together, guys. And quick summary, Tom Brady, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Freeman, Adam Thielen, Jarvis Landry, Demaryius Thomas, Eric Ebron, Robbie Gould, and the Dallas Cowboys defense. So that's my lineup here that I'm going to enter into FanDuel lineups, and then I'm going to start over, do a quick DraftKings. We'll see how different it is. You guys heard me talk about Tom Brady a little bit. The Patriots are my favorite team to stack here in DFS this week. I'm not, that's not a shocker if you listen to anybody already talk about this week. The Patriots are an easy pick. The numbers make sense. Tom Brady, Deion Lewis, and Rob Gronkowski, expect big things from all three of them. They should have the ball pretty much all game. They're going to be scoring a ton of points. If you want to talk about narrative and why we believe that, again, they're playing for the AFC's, the number 1 seed in the AFC. I apologize. Gronk, if you really want to read into it, receives a $2 million bonus if he reaches 11 receptions or 116 yards receiving this Sunday. I got to think Tom Brady goes and tries to make that happen there for Gronk, gets him the extra $2 million. So Gronk, I think, is a good option. I know I paid for Ebron. I got the bargain Ebron pick. But if you want to pay up a tight end, I think Gronk's a good place you can do that, particularly in this game. And then I don't think Deion Lewis really needs necessarily an advantage. I just think game flow is going to work in his favor. And they've got some people banged up. They don't need to rush anybody back. They're in the playoffs. It's just a matter of do they get that 1 seed. I think there's a lot of points to go around in this game. And the Jets have also dropped to number 28 in pass rush and number 31 in pass coverage. So I think it's a Patriots game. Love all those guys. And if you want to do it, great. If not, so be it. I get it. So let's just pulling up DraftKings lineup here, guys, on Fantasy Advantage. Again, we're using all the recommendations. We're not picking guys that they don't put on the list for us to kind of roll with. And then here are their guys on DraftKings, some different names. Russell Wilson stays as the stud. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in. I butcher his name every time. It's just the way it is, but he's been fun to watch. What a guy, what a talent. Comes in at solid. And bargain Phillip Rivers. As much as I hate Phillip Rivers, I'm going to pick him as the bargain QB. Gets the Oakland Raiders. They are just bad against the pass. So there's that. Running back, guys. Christian McCaffrey is my bargain pick. Mark Ingram, solid. Alvin Kamara comes in at the stud. We're going to draft Christian McCaffrey here against Atlanta. And then as my second running back coming in, Kenyon Drake's a bargain pick. Alvin Kamara, we're going to draft Alvin Kamara against Tampa Bay here. And then into wide receivers, Jarvis Landry, Stephon Diggs, Michael Thomas. I love Landry. For the volume, we're going to play Landry here again. And then it gives me Randall Cobb, Josh Doxson, and Jamison Crowder. Again, we talked about the Packers wide receivers with people being out. Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams obviously getting the big contract. The ball's got to go somewhere. So if you want a solid pick, Randall Cobb should see some action here against Detroit. I'm going to put Cobb in this lineup, and we'll see. I might come back to regret that choice down the line. Golden Tate, T.Y. Hilton, and Michael Thomas are my next three choices here. And they tell me Michael Thomas is my stud pick. Let's do it. We're going to draft Michael Thomas. As we go into tight end, Charles Clay, Austin Hooper, and Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker's my stud at $4,400, playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are just always so good. But let's do it. They tell me he's the pick. We're going to roll with Delaney Walker. We're coming over to my flex, and we are really scraping the bottom of the barrel because I've burned pretty much all of my money. Jason Witten, DeAnthony Thomas for the Chiefs, and Kenny Golladay. Oh, boy. They tell me Jason Witten is my stud, but that scares me. I'm going to go with DeAnthony Thomas here just because he's a Chief. And I'll be honest, I don't really like this lineup at all now that I'm seeing the pieces come together. But their analytics, they tell us that it's going to work, so we're going to have to recap after this week. And then my defense, their stud pick, Tennessee Titans versus Jacksonville Jaguars. Ugh, don't love that. Arizona Cardinals for Seattle Seahawks, and the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Dallas Cowboys. These could all go very badly. I guess let's go with the Eagles. We'll draft them. Let's roll with it, and I'll pay the ultimate price. So, again, some things I probably would change in my lineup, guys, but this is what we did here on the podcast, on the fly. Recap, Phillip Rivers, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Jarvis Landry, Randall Cobb, Michael Thomas, Delaney Walker, DeAnthony Thomas, and the Philadelphia Eagles is my defense. That's my DraftKings lineup, courtesy of FantasyAdvantage.com. So we're going to roll them out and hope for the best. We're going to test and see how their analytics really work. And from there, we'll be ready to rock and roll. So, guys, I talked about some fades, some guys I'm not necessarily going to trust or roll with here. And I think the fades for me, I'm just going to talk about two QBs. And they're both in the same game. Nick Foles, I don't want any part of him at my quarterback position. Like I said early, I don't know what the Eagles are even going to do. How much does he play? There's just no reason to risk it. You watch the 4 touchdown game in week 15, but he also had 50% completion rate and 163 yards in Week 16. So I don't think the risk, the upside's not there, particularly with all the factors in my mind there. Flip side, I look at Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. He feels really cheap. He's $5,900. I get it if you're drawn to him. He's had fewer than 16 DraftKings points, guys, in 6 of his past 7 games, including fewer than 10 points in 4 of those games. He's got the upside. If you want to put him in a GPP lineup, I get it. But if you're playing in cash, I think you have to fade. You never know what Jason Garrett's going to do here. He says that they're playing the starters. I'm not sure what it's worth for them. They're done. It doesn't really matter. So taking the chance that some of these guys are going to get hurt so he can have a winning record and, they already seem to say he's going to keep his job seems silly to me. I'm going to avoid Dak Prescott, Nick Foles. I'll probably avoid a lot of this game. Not a ton of upside. Obviously, I own the Cowboys and the Eagles defense and both of the fantasy advantage DFS lineups this week. But that's the way the data went. Personally, my gut tells me to stay away from both of these games. But again, just a personal preference. Guys, that's going to do it for the Week 17 preview, recap. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year episode, everything kind of all mashed into one. And quite frankly, I think it's exactly what it should be. News tidbits, you shouldn't be playing your championship in Week 17 at all. And just keep in mind all these players who are not playing. They're not starting for their teams. Some people like to set their lineups and forget it. There's going to be a lot more inactives. Maybe a surprise or two still to come on Sunday when you guys are listening to this. So just please be prepared because things can change very, very quickly. Again, play some DFS, see if you guys can win. We recommend checking out Draft, guys. We have a link on the website. You guys sign up. They'll give you a free $3 credit to enter into games. They also typically will refund if you guys lose up to $100. Check the terms when you sign up. But sign up with our affiliate link. You get a bonus, we get a bonus, and you guys get to try out Draft for essentially free. Withdraw your money with no penalty, obviously. But again, that's our little shill here as we go into the new year. 2018, we've got a ton of exciting stuff for you guys. We're working on a new updated mobile app, doing some new Alexa things to try and spruce those up and get them going truly for 2018. And we got some cool partnerships on the way, possibly even a little cryptocurrency here in the fantasy football world as we watch Bitcoin and everything else kind of go mainstream, at least with the news. And I hope some of you did make some money on the crypto craze. We'll see if it continues. But for fantasy football, guys, that's going to be all we've got for you. Send in your questions. We'll answer as many as we can. And Happy New Year. For Let's Talk Fantasy Football, guys, I'm Nick Schreck. We'll catch you on the flip side.
This has been Let's Talk Fantasy Football. Thanks for listening.